Hello, ladies, and welcome. If you are new here and don't know who I am, my name is Angie Marone, and I am a holistic hormone health coach, and I'm the owner of a women's fitness studio in Longmont, Colorado. I've been working with women in some form of health and wellness capacity for over 18 years, so really long time. So I'm very excited to jump in to this with you tonight. So I want to start by saying this. I'm here to educate you, right? Because my goal is to give you the knowledge and the tools to move forward so you feel confident asking questions, whether you're at the doctor's office or whether you're with your friends, taking control of your health and not just giving up and thinking, this is just how it's got to be, because it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to work harder. You don't have to starve yourself, or you don't have to push through being exhausted anymore because you've done enough of that, right? We've lived a lot of life. We have done a lot of things. So it's time for you to stop and take a moment for yourself. So this next chapter of your life is not about getting smaller. The motto used to be, I can't even think right now, but we don't want to get skinny. We don't want to be skinny. We want to be strong. We want to have a better understanding of our body on a deeper level. So we learn how to nourish it physically, emotionally, hormonally, because that's when you start to transform your life, especially in midlife, because it is totally different. Okay. When I was going through perimenopause and menopause, it was a struggle day after day. It was hard. I was barely getting by. I had a lot going on. I was trying to run my business, do all the things, and I just refused to believe that I was going to have to live like that forever. So I asked a lot of questions. I did a lot of research. I educated myself because I wanted to know more. Because deep down I knew this wasn't how my body was meant to feel. I was in my early 40s. I was like, if I have to feel this way the rest of my life, this is not going to be a life I want to enjoy. So that's what I want for you too. I want you to feel empowered, to know what to do, not feel defeated, to know that you can feel good whether you're in perimenopause, you're postmenopausal, and that you can be strong and have the energy. You can feel clear-minded and confident in your body. All the things that you want as you thrive in age, right? So if you are ready for this, say a me in the chat, and we will get started. So tonight, what I'm going to do is I am going to walk you through 5 things you need to know about perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. Things that can help you to take control once or for all for your life, okay, and your hormones. And then Shelly's going to jump in at the end and share how hormone replacement can fit in, depending on what phase you're in, because there are different things depending on where you're at and the symptoms that are going on in your life. So let's get started. So I want to ask you first, what do you hope to learn? Like, why are you here? Why did you sign up for this masterclass? What symptoms, struggles, things are going on in your life that you are just ready to let go of? You are ready to move away from, you are ready to move forward from. Go ahead and share that in the chat for me if you would. All right. Need to feel better. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I get you. I understand that. Don't feel like myself anymore. Want to have energy consistently. Yes. Yep. I remember all the things, all the things. Okay. So the first thing I want you to know is that your hormones are running the show. Your hormones are what are shifting things, right? And things are way different now. And when you learn to accept it, because it can be hard, right? We are aging. But when you accept that things are different right now, it's going to make everything so much easier. When your estrogen, your progesterone, and your testosterone start shifting, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it in your energy. You're going to feel it in your weight. You're going to feel it in your sleep, your mood. All of the things are affected when those hormones are shifting. And maybe you just wake up one day and it slaps you in the face and you're like, what is happening? Or maybe it's a little bit more subtle and you just kind of start feeling off, not feeling like yourself and wondering what's going on. Either way, what I want you to do is stop and pause, pay attention, write these things down, because we got a lot going on. And if you're not stopping to pay attention to actually what is going on, you won't know how to move forward or how to change things, right? And the more that you listen to your body during this time, the better chance that you have to support it earlier and to keep from things getting out of control. Okay, because I didn't know the things and things went out of control. When I started to learn and when I knew what I needed to change and do things different, then I started to feel better, right? I knew what I needed to do. And if you're already feeling like I'm already there, things are already out of control, just know that there is a lot that you can do to feel better in your body, okay? Your body is always communicating with you and you have to listen. So through your moods, your energy, your cravings, your cycle, it's telling you something. But we aren't taught to listen, right? We're taught to just fix things and just keep pushing through, right? Put a band-aid or ignore it because, you know what, I don't have time to deal with it right now. I'm just going to keep going. Even when things aren't changing, we just keep pushing forward. So instead, what I want for you is I want you to start tuning in, listening, paying attention. Because when you work with what your body needs, that's when healing begins and that's when progress starts. That's when you will start to feel like you need to feel again, like you want to feel again. And so much of what I learned was simply listening to my body because when things were off, I'm a very intuitive person too. So like I really pay attention. But when I knew and could feel something just a little bit different, I'm like, something's not right here. Then that's when I learned. Um, when it shared with me what it needed, then I knew what I needed to do. Okay, so real quick, I'm just going to go through the three phases of menopause because maybe you don't know what they are. I know I didn't know there was different phases way back. I thought it was just menopause, right? And once you get past menopause, everything's supposed to be a breeze. Yeah, that I was wrong. It's not because now you have no hormones, right? And your body's going, we're just gonna go all kinds of crazy. So first, perimenopause, premenopause, whatever you want to call it. This starts in your late 30s and into your mid 40s, sometimes even early 50s. This is when the hormones start changing, they're shifting. This is when your cycle changes. It gets heavier, maybe it's irregular. Maybe you notice a little more anxiety, right? You're going to the doctor's office thinking, I'm really more anxious. I'm feeling just kind of, or you're maybe have sadness or depression that's going on. Maybe you're more irritable. You feel like you want to strangle everybody. Or that weight is creeping up around the belly. Maybe you have breast tenderness, things like these. Your weight is changing, even though you really haven't done anything different. You just are getting older, right? This is your body that is telling you, I need more from you. I need you to rest more. I need more nourishment. I need more care. And it's not because it's trying to be impossible or make things harder for you. It's just actually trying to make this transition through menopause easier for you. It's trying to give you signals so that you know it's time to stop and pause and pay attention. So then you move into menopause, which is one day. It's funny that we all talk about menopause all the time, but it's actually just one day. It's when you have no longer had a cycle for a full year. One day. Menopause, then you're done with menopause. And this average age is about 51. This is when your estrogen, progesterone, and even your testosterone, they hit really low numbers. This is when you're going to notice the hot flashes pop up, the night sweats, that stubborn belly fat, the brain fog, maybe some vaginal dryness, things like that. This is when you start feeling like, what is going on with my body? I don't know this person. This is when you want to reset. This is when you get to reinvent your lifestyle to match what you want it to look like for the next 40 years. And after that 12 months, no period, then you are postmenopausal. This is where your hormones are really low. And this is, like I talked about, most women can't get to this point. They have no more cycle. Yay, we're excited to not have to deal with that anymore. But there are a lot of other things that are going on as well. So things like bone loss, heart risks. You may even wake up one day with the belly fat. Like that was me. I woke up one morning and I was like, wait a minute, never had this. I don't know what this is that is going on. I remember looking at my body in the mirror and wondering who the person was looking back at me. Like whose body was this? Because it wasn't mine. It wasn't the body I'd had for all those years. And it was hard. It was really hard to understand. I was like, I don't get how this changed because I'm doing all the same things I've been doing for all these years. So I understand if that's where you're at and that's what you're going through. I have been there. And The thing is, these symptoms that I talked about, these can all get worse if you're still living like you did when you were in your 20s. And I say this all the time on my podcast, when I talk to my clients, everybody, if you can't do what you did in your 20s and expect to feel good in your 40s, your 50s, 60s, and beyond. You just can't. So then we are in postmenopause, right? This is where you get to define what you want the rest of your life to look like, the next 30 to 40 years, because you can either keep fighting against it, or keep fighting your body or working with it. And when you do start to work with it, it finally starts to respond. You start to feel better. You have less symptoms. You start to lose the belly fat. Everything starts shifting. And I want you to remember that these symptoms that are happening, again, we want to pay attention to them, right? Because they're your hormones. They're talking to you. And when you understand what's going on and what phase you're in, then you can support the body. And you can learn how to feel good in that aging body again. I can tell you right now, just turned 53. I feel the best I have in years. I'm the strongest I've ever been. I'm the happiest I've ever felt. And not to say that not every day is perfect, because it's not, right? I have the days, but I love my life right now. And the past 10 years were hard. So I'm happy to be at a place right now that I can feel at peace with my body. And that's the whole goal behind this. We want to thrive as we age, right? We want to feel as best as we can as we get older. All right. Now we're going to move into the belly fat, because maybe that's what you're like, please, can we get rid of this? I don't want this anymore. Here's the truth about your belly fat, okay? It's not just about calories in versus calories out. If it were that simple, right, we'd be getting the results. We've already figured that out. It would be gone. And maybe it worked in your 20s, but right now when your estrogen is dropping and your body is it's shifting and starting to redistribute the fat on your belly more than anywhere else, right? That's just because of the dropping estrogen. And then we're adding in cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and insulin resistance. And your belly's gonna grow, even if nothing else has changed. And this can be frustrating, right? You're gonna, like, everything is different, but your hormones are different too. So what do we do? Right? This is what all of us do. This is happening. When I went into panic mode, when I looked in the mirror, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to cut out my carbs. I need to stop eating carbs. I need to eat less food. I need to work out more. I need to do all the things, because that's what's going to help me get results, right? But what actually happens is it stresses your body out more, and it makes the belly fat worse. And that's what happened to me as well. Ended up gaining another 10 pounds because I was trying to do all the things the wrong way. Your body doesn't need restriction. It actually needs more food, but it needs better foods, and it needs you to balance out the foods that your body actually needs. It doesn't need less carbs, because you need carbs. It doesn't need less fat, because your hormones need fat. It needs consistency, and it needs to feel safe. That's what we want to do here, is we want to make your body feel safe so that it can let go of the fat, let go of the weight, and get rid of those symptoms that we're experiencing. When you feed it, and when you rest enough and you breathe, this is a big one. When you breathe, deep belly breaths, not just panic mode, I'm running around all the time, your hormones are going to balance out. That is when fat loss actually becomes possible again. When my clients start to eat more food, because the majority of them, that's what I'm doing, is I'm making them eat more food. It's hard at first, but we get there. And eating the right combinations of foods for their body in the menopausal transition, they finally lose inches off their waist. I had a client that just started eating more protein and more calories, and she lost 2 inches off her waist in 2 months. And she was like, I am actually hungry again. I am feeling so good. I have such great energy, and my clothes are fitting, because all we did was make her eat more and add more protein. So her body and her hormones were happy, right? So again, it's not about eating less. It's about fueling your body with what it needs, and focusing on blood sugar stability and calming down the stress response. Those things are key. It's not about dieting. Once you do that, your metabolism works and you get results. So how does one do this? Well, you eat protein at every single meal. I've been saying this for so many years that my niece, who, when she was like 3 years old, I was telling her protein, protein, protein. Every time she saw Auntie Angie, she was like, I need to eat more protein. I'm like, yes, you do. So protein is so important. And especially if you like your carbs, you have to balance them out with the protein. What this does is this helps balance your blood sugar and keeps your body from being stressed out. Every time you eat something, I want you to think, is there protein in this food? Okay. Something else you may want to do is to track your foods to make sure you're eating at least. I don't like any woman eating under 1600 calories unless they're sitting very sedentary all day long and doing no other activity, possibly then. But 1600 calories is a really good starting point. Many of my clients are eating up over 2000 and they're maintaining their results because they're fueling their body and making their body happy. And it's not just about the nutrition, right? I talked about this, the cortisol. Stress care is important too. I like to call it stress care instead of stress management because people are like, I don't know how to manage my stress. Let's just take care of our stress then, right? We as women, we're not stopping. We are just going all the time. We have so much to do, and we put all of our needs last until we fall apart or we get sick, or we just don't even want to get out of bed in the morning because we're so exhausted. And I was there too. I remember it was horrible. But we have to remember that nobody's coming to do the things for us. Nobody's coming to say, you know what, you need to figure this out. You need to take care of yourself. You need to stop and prioritize yourself. We have to do that ourselves. Okay. So that means saying no more often, breathing. I know it sounds simple, but it's so important. And realizing we're just as important as everyone else. And yes, it can be as simple as breathing. This is the one thing that I teach my clients. If you cannot do some form of stress care, you can breathe wherever you're at, in your car, at your job, before you go to bed. And it's just big belly breaths. It'll calm down your system and put your body into a happy state. Okay. So that's the first thing. Next, we're going to talk about muscle, right? I need to take a drink. And no, this is not wine. Shelly and I talked about it. It says has electrolytes in it. She was like, I hope that's wine. I'm like, nope, it's not. So, all right, your muscle is your metabolism's lifeline. You need muscle, especially as you age. So starting in perimenopause, you lose muscle every year. So starting around age 30, we naturally begin to lose about 3 to 8% of our muscle mass per decade. That's a lot. And after menopause, the rate can double. And some studies have shown that women can lose up to 1 to 2% of muscle mass per year. That's huge. That is not something we want to have happen. And it's not just about being strong or toning our body, right? When you lose muscle, you could develop something called sarcopenia. And this affects your metabolism, your bone density, your balance, insulin sensitivity, all these things that make you feel better and make you strong and allow you to eat food and not gain the weight, right? It's really like having a fire burning in your body. You want to have the muscle to keep your metabolism burning. So, ladies, you need to lift the weights and you need to lift heavy. I want you to aim for about 8 to 10 challenging reps. And when I say challenging, that should mean the 2 last reps of those weights should be difficult. It should be hard to lift them. If they're too easy and you can do more than 10 reps, you need to go heavier, okay? Even if that means you need to go down in reps, that's fine. You should be doing this about 2 to 3 times a week. And going back to the protein, you have to make sure you're eating enough protein, okay? Because that is going to help to build and maintain the metabolism. When I say eating enough, that means a minimum of 100 grams. You should aim to hit 100, if not more. It depends on the person, depends on your workouts, it depends on a lot of things. I personally eat around 175 to 190 grams of protein a day, and it feels great. That's a happy place for me, right? Something to keep in mind too is when you eat enough protein, it's filling. It keeps you from wanting the sugar. It keeps you from overeating or over consuming those carbs that aren't helping you, right? So eat your protein, it will keep you full. It will help you to build and maintain the muscle. You're not going to get bulky from lifting. I promise. I've been trying to build muscle for years and it's so slow. I work so hard at it, but it's just, just getting there a little bit. So you're not going to get bulky. You're not going to get big, I promise. We want to be strong. We want to have muscles. And it's not just about how you look, right? It protects your metabolism, it protects your bones, your heart. And we don't want to be that frail old lady who has the rounded back, needs help going to the bathroom or needs to be pushed around in a wheelchair. We don't want that. So lift your weights, eat your protein. Simple. Those are easy, right? Next, I want to talk about lifestyle being your medicine. These are the lifestyle things that I talk about with my clients all the time, and they're habits, right? They're things that you need to just start adding one step at a time, um, that are going to help you to move forward. So I want you to ask yourself this: what kind of life are you living right now? Are you staying up late? Are you drinking wine every night? Are you skipping breakfast? Are you eating out all the time? Are you not drinking your water? Are you going until you crash and end up sick? These things are not doing you any favors. And why? Because poor sleep raises your cortisol, and cortisol creates belly fat. Stress keeps your body in fat storage mode, so you're not going to lose the fat that you want to get rid of. And alcohol, sugar, the toxins, things like that, they make hot flashes, puffiness, and joint pain worse. When I consume a lot of sugar or I drink alcohol, I do not sleep at night because I'm up with night sweats. Um, and my fingers get all achy too. So I know exactly when I've gone too far or have done too much. And again, as I mentioned, you can't live like you're 20 and expect to feel good in your body in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. You just can't, right? Um, and this isn't about being perfect with all these things, right? With getting out and moving and eating the protein and managing your stress and getting your sleep. It's not about being perfect with everything. It's just about aligning it with what your body needs and creating lasting habits. Because you can do all the right things. You can eat your vegetables, you can lift weights, you can take supplements, but if you are living in a constant chaos and overwhelm, nothing is going to work. The body it heals, and your hormones start to balance when it feels safe. And it feels safe when you are taking care of yourself. Um, I'm not perfect. People probably think it's probably easy for you. You know how to do it. It's easy because you just do this all the time. It's not easy, and I'm not perfect. Some days I skip my walk. Some days I don't want to go for a walk. Some days I barely want to get out of bed. Some days I want sugar. Some days I have cereal for dinner. But I'm not doing that every single day, right? I'm doing these consistent habits in a way that make my body feel the best when I can. Um, and this is something I want you to pay attention to and really think about is if you're not wanting to make any changes, you're not going to see anything shift, right? You're not going to feel good in your body. That's all there is to it. And that is the truth, especially now. Like in your 20s, it could have been different, but now it's different. And there isn't going to be a pill or a supplement that's going to fix it. It's just not the way it works anymore. Yes, supplements are great to support your body, but the healing and the results come from eating better, cleaning up your nutrition, drinking your water, sleeping, lifting the heavy weights, and focusing on stress care. These are all the things, the pieces, the puzzle. That's what I talk about. These are all pieces of the puzzle that need to come together. And when they come together, that's when you feel good. And you can slowly add them. Like, where do you want to start first? Pick one thing, okay? And then slowly start to add them together and make them part of your routine. Because now what I do is just part of, just like I brush my teeth before I go to bed. I go for a walk after I eat my lunch. Like it's just becomes part of the routine, okay? Um, Now I know this can all feel like a lot, right? You're probably thinking, okay, I need to do all these things, but how do I do them? And how do I stick with them? Here's the thing, it's never easy to do this on your own, right? It's always better when you have some support, you have somebody helping you figure it out. I mean, if some of you are working with Shelly, that's why, because you were not able to figure it out. So you had to get some help, some support, right? And we've been conditioned to just struggle in silence. We hide our symptoms. We don't talk about them. Until recently, women just don't talk about them. I hear that from some of my girls at the studio. They're like, nobody talks about this. When I talk about it, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm glad you're finally talking about it because nobody else will talk about this with me. We have to speak about what's going on. We have to share our symptoms so that, first of all, we can relate to other people. We don't have to feel like there's something wrong with us because there is nothing wrong with you. When you speak up, you're going to feel good about yourself. When you get dismissed by a doctor who says, you know what, it's just stress, or you're just getting older, or let's just start on this medication, you're going to have the education and you're going to feel empowered to speak up for yourself. So you can stop just thinking that it's you, because there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You're just in a time of big change. And when you have the right guidance, the support, the knowledge, the education, this can actually be a really empowering part of your life. And I know it can feel overwhelming. Like, what do I eat? Hey, this, what do I eat? I don't know how I should work out. How do I manage my stress? I don't know. What does that even mean, manage my stress, right? How do I fit this into my life? Because I'm already full. I got so much going on. Um, and maybe you've tried things and they worked for a little while, but they're no longer working. But now it's not, you're just tired of guessing. You're like, I'm done. I just need somebody to tell me what to do. That's how I was. I was like, can somebody please just tell me because I'm tired of thinking. I just want to be told what to do. And you want a plan that works for you because there's no plan and there is nothing that you can do that is going to be, if you can't do the same plan that your friend is doing and get the same results because you might be in two different places, right? So this is why I created my midlife makeover coaching program. It's a 3-month journey where we take everything I've talked about today and more and actually apply it to your real life, your schedule, your energy, your goals, and your body, not somebody else's. This is no template. This is me working with you one-on-one to make sure that it works for you because everyone is different. Some of you may be in perimenopause, some are in postmenopause, some want to get rid of belly fat, some just have so much inflammation in their body that they just don't even feel good from day to day. And that's the beauty of this. You get a plan that actually works with you, where you're at. We start slow, we figure it out, we talk about it. And then we build on each step upon each other, right? You learn how to balance your blood sugar, how to fuel your metabolism, get enough protein so that you start losing the belly fat, you start losing the weight, you start feeling good about your body. You don't have to starve. Remember, I told you I'll make you eat more food because food is good. I love food. I do not want to give up food. Um, Actually, in the program as well, you get strength training workouts, and if you are local, you get access to our boot camp classes at FitChick. But what's more important than this is just having the accountability, like somebody to help you move through the hard days. That's something I get from my clients all the time. They're like, I love that you were there to help me move forward or push me when I need it. Or if I just have any questions and I feel like I don't know what to do, or I'm just feeling down because I'm not seeing the results that I want. So we talk through that and we work through it. Um, so the goal of the program is to just, again, help you create a lifestyle, one that feels sustainable, because I want you to not only get results, because then most of us, we want to lose the weight, we want to feel, but I want you to feel good in your body and feel like, you know what, I can live where I'm at right now for the next 30 to 40 years. And you feel strong, you feel calm, you feel confident. And when you look in the mirror, you're proud of the person that you're becoming. Um, so if this is something you're interested in, I will put a link in the chat with more information about the coaching program. I never pressure anybody to sign up, but if it's something you're interested in, you want to have a talk about it, whatever, let's just have a conversation. The information in there, there's a place to apply. You can apply for it. And then I just email you back some questions. And if we want to get a call, we go from there. So that's, I'll put that in the link right now. So if you guys want to open that and then save it, let me see here. Or you could open it and then it's available to you to look at later. And the thing that I've never done before that I'm doing this time is anybody that does sign up coaching from this class will either get a free personalized hormone panel or a metabolic panel, depending on what I feel you need the most. So that's a big thing. So this would be a good time to take advantage of that. So if you have any questions about that, again, you can reach out to me. You can go through that, apply, and we'll go from there. So for some of you, there may be another layer of support that your body is needing. And this is where hormone therapy can make a world of difference. It wasn't until I became postmenopausal at 47. So 5 years ago, I've been postmenopausal for 5 years, that I dove into, I need to feel better. I want to feel better and thrive as I get older. And I'm doing all the things. I am doing all the things. But I knew there was just something that was missing. There was just one of that piece of the puzzle that I was missing. So now I've been working with Shelly. She's absolutely amazing. I love her. I'm on estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, those things. And I can tell you that I can't imagine not being on them and doing the things that I have to do. My body just feels so much more supported because, again, like I mentioned, think of it, if I'm going to live another 30, 40 years without hormones, that would be rough. because I've had them for 40 years, 40, 50, and I want to live an amazing life as I age. So that's why I'm excited that Shelly's here with us tonight, and she is going to walk you through how hormone therapy what it can do for you, what options there are, and how it might be the next step for you to take if that's what you want to do. And she is absolutely amazing, like I said. So Shelly, I will hand this over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angie. I'm so excited to see all of you. I know some of you. I'm excited to see your faces again. Um, I am a nurse practitioner. I own Brio Health and Wellness. And, I got into this because I started going through perimenopause early and started having all of these random symptoms. And I feel like, you know, most people are like, well, hot flashes, night sweats, your period changes. Is that happening? And it's like, well, no, but I have a million other symptoms. And my doctors were like, well, here's an antidepressant. And I'm like, well, but that doesn't make sense to me. I've never needed that before. Why is that the answer? And I just felt very dismissed. And I know how to advocate for myself. I know the questions to ask. I know the science behind it. And I was still being met with just dismissal. And so finally I found somebody that listened to me, and she didn't give me options. She was just like, we're going to start this. And so she started me on treatment. And it was probably 2 weeks later. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. The difference that I feel. And so, I started looking into being board certified and just, starting my own business so I could offer this to women, because it is absolutely ridiculous how many women out there are still suffering and still being dismissed by their providers. And, hormone therapy can make a world of a difference. And there's so many different options and so many different forms. And there's non-hormonal options that can be helpful. And, certainly we need to go down the list for people, and it's very individualized. And some people need lab work or different screenings before you get started, but it can just be life-changing. And so, I don't know how many of you are on hormone therapy or have questions. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. A lot of people talk about the risks and the benefits. And, when I've been in medicine for over 20 years, and I remember being in a clinic when the Women's Health Initiative study came out in the early 2000s. And at that time, my career path was oncology. And so, I was treating breast cancer patients and just all kinds of different cancer. And overnight it was like, oh my goodness, this increases a woman's risk for breast cancer. Nobody prescribed this anymore. And it was a dead stop. Across the boards, people stopped. Nobody wanted to talk about it. It was a non-issue. And that whole generation of women coming up suffered. If we look at longitudinal studies on women who were in their 40s and 50s in the early 2000s and what their health is like now, there's cardiac disease. That's the leading cause of death in women. There's osteoporosis, osteopenia, there's dementia. There are so many things that hormone therapy used to help to support. And so, yes, when we talk about breast cancer, obviously nobody wants to increase a woman's chance for breast cancer. And interestingly enough, as I stayed the course of oncology, we saw different research studies coming out. And so then it was like, oh, so these breast cancer patients that we threw into menopause overnight from the treatments and were miserable, now we can start offering them things. And oh, so that's safe. And then maybe if we do this, it's safe. And obviously things are very individualized and should be a very one-on-one conversation. But now we know that women who are breast cancer survivors who had hormone positive breast cancer, some of them can safely take hormone therapy. And just to see the difference and the changes over the past 2 decades has been absolutely incredible. Um, but and the other thing people say is, well, what about the cardiac risk? Because this Women's Health Initiative study also showed an increased risk of cardiac disease. But what we can kind of tease out of that is women who were enrolled in this study were already postmenopausal. The majority were over the age of 60 to 65. They were at high risk for heart disease and breast cancer already. They were only given certain forms of hormone therapy. So it was only oral estrogen, and it was synthetic estrogen, and it was only one type of progesterone that was synthetic and one dose, and that was it. And so now we know, well, if we can get women at the right age and we can start them on hormone therapy, it actually prevents cardiac disease, and it actually can prevent osteopenia and osteoporosis. And, certain forms of hormone therapy can actually be protective against breast cancer. And so all the different research studies coming out, there's just so many amazing facts. And I'm so excited to be in this and to be able to see the research studies and to figure out, a year from now, 2 years from now, how much more are we going to learn about this? And just my goal in doing all of this is to help women be advocates for themselves. So whether you come to me, whether you go to somebody else, I want you to advocate for yourself. I want you to know that you're incredible and suffering doesn't have to continue. And if you meet your provider and they do not listen to you, go to somebody else. And, if you need help advocating for yourself, there are so many of us that are so passionate about this that would be more than willing to help. Like I said, there's lots of different buckets of treatment options. There's non-hormonal, there's hormonal, there's birth control pills for women who are younger and still need some form of contraception, or need some control with heavy bleeding, but still want, the more bioidentical form of estrogen. There's so many different things that we can do. So, my goal is just to answer questions if any of you have any questions, and just, give you the information that you need so you feel like you can go forward and advocate for yourself. Like Angie said, we're still aging. And so I love social media. I am not good at it, but I love it. But it also, you see these women and they're like, I started this and now my life is perfect. And that is so not true. Like Angie said, there are still going to be hard days. There's still going to be sleepless nights. You're still going to be irritated from your husband and your kids, and that's okay. That is part of living. But the goal is to get you more better days than not, to feel more like yourself. And I truly think that we can do that.
Does anybody have any questions? You can unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand, or you can type it in the chat, whatever. I'm going to start first just because. Oh, go ahead. Somebody just raised their hand. I can't see who it was. You can just unmute yourself and go ahead. Nobody? I thought I saw a hand come up. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question because maybe everybody wants to know, and people that are watching this in the replay, is it ever too early to start hormone therapy? Because I think this is the other thing that women think, well, I don't need it until I'm postmenopausal because I don't have any hormones. So then I want to start, then I can start taking them. When do you suggest, or does it depend on the person? I mean, you can start them earlier than that, I assume.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's very dependent on the person and what they're going through. We think that probably perimenopause can start around 35. You might not notice some, period changes and different things, but certainly you could notice just multiple other symptoms starting. When a woman comes to see me and they are in their 30s, we're also going to look at some other things to make sure that some, other systemic conditions can mimic perimenopause symptoms. And so we're going to check thyroid, we're going to check A1C, we're going to check a metabolic panel. We're going to make sure that in all other areas, those lab results are completely normal. And then if those are normal and, we truly discuss things that are going on, I think, yes, there is not a high risk for starting hormone therapy. Hormone therapy is a much, much lower dose than birth control pills. And so the form of estrogen that's in birth control pill is so much more potent. And so again, people come to see me and say, oh my goodness, I couldn't stand birth control. I had all of these symptoms. Well, it doesn't mean you can't do a transdermal estrogen patch or transdermal estrogen cream or something different, because the potency is just completely different. The form of estrogen that's given in hormone therapy is completely different than that which was what is given in oral birth control. And so I don't think that there's necessarily a too early stage, as long as, different screenings and lab work look good. I think that then you just kind of go based on symptoms, and all the guidelines say that you treat based on symptoms. And so we're not even going to really do a lot of hormone testing, lab work, because we know that what your hormone labs are in the morning are going to be different than what they are in the afternoon, and it's going to be different from what it is tomorrow. And so if we were to track you over time and truly try to get all the data sets we need, I would be making women go in for lab work multiple times a day for 2 months, and nobody wants to do that. And so, a lot of this is you start at a low dose, you go based on symptoms, you titrate, you change, you figure out an individualized plan and what works for each woman.
Cool. Yeah, that's good to know because, like you said, I think a lot of women think they have to wait until they have no more hormones to start on hormones, but that is not definitely not true. And okay, so if anybody else doesn't have one, you guys can ask questions. What about if women have a hysterectomy or something like that? Because that obviously affects their hormones, right?
Absolutely. So, interestingly enough, women who have a hysterectomy and have their ovaries removed, so an oophorectomy at the same time, those women should start hormone therapy, especially when they're in their 20s or 30s, because the drastic decline in estrogen level is going to make you lose your bone strength much faster. So you're going to go into osteopenia, osteoporosis, your risk for cardiac disease, all the things go up. And so those women need to start hormone therapy very soon after that surgery. When we think of the different types of hormone therapy and the different treatment options, we know that progesterone is given as part of hormone therapy purely to protect the endometrial lining of the uterus. That's the goal of it. If somebody was on estrogen and took it consistently for 6 months, unopposed, without progesterone, and they had a uterus, the risk is that their endometrial lining could get really thick and lead to cancer. And so progesterone just keeps the lining nice and thin. For women who have had a hysterectomy, they don't necessarily need progesterone. They can do just estrogen treatment. Now, progesterone can also help to support sleep. And so some women, have had a hysterectomy, go on estrogen, and are still just having a lot of mood changes and difficulty sleeping. It's totally fine to add in progesterone to see if that helps, because progesterone can work on, there's lots of different receptors and modulators in our body that are progesterone receptors. And giving patient just a low dose progesterone might help them just to support that improved sleep, which we all know sleep is one of the most important things that we can get to feel normal.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yes. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Anything? You could, or even if it's not about Shelly, if it's about anything I talked about.
I had a question about the estrogen. My doctor put me back on birth control,
Mhm.
and she just said that that was the right dose for me, and it was sort of the easiest answer. But I keep wondering because I'm reading a lot about estrogen patches. Like, is that a normal treatment, or should I consider switching?
So it depends on what your goal is. If you still were concerned about contraception, then the birth control pill is the way to go, because hormone therapy does not suppress your own hormones. So there is no contraception benefit for hormone therapy. The other reason that a lot of women would go on birth control is if they were having a lot of heavy bleeding. So, a lot of bleeding, a lot of clotting, and they were very bothered by bleeding. Hormone therapy is not going to be a great match to help to prevent and to control that bleeding. Um, if that was not an issue for you. And if you are more of, I'm having a lot of symptoms now and I'm just miserable, then certainly hormone therapy in the form of an estrogen patch could totally be part of your treatment plan. I feel like a lot of doctors for younger women are like, nope, birth control is fine. And, we know that oral estrogen for either hormone therapy or birth control pills, oral estrogen actually increases your clotting risk. It increases triglyceride levels. It can increase blood pressure, whereas transdermal estrogen does not do any of that. And so there's certainly a need for more education and really figuring out a patient's goals and then what the plan is that would be best individualized for you. Of
Thank you.
course.
I have a quick question,
Yeah.
and I don't want to leave the scope of your conversation, but do you also consider mitochondrial health?
Yeah, I think that that is very important as well. And that's why all of this is individualized, not just mitochondrial health, but I feel like treatment options for more neurodiverse individuals is going to be different. And there's a lot of different concepts that all need to be looked at, but certainly that needs to be included.
Because I feel like that is something, and again, I don't want to leave the guardrails of the conversation, but, and Angie, you can probably speak to this too, muscle-centric health, protecting bones, brain. I mean, we know, the benefits and the research there is more and more significant, more than we thought. And that goes hand in hand with mitochondrial health, which are the little energy batteries in each and every cell that we have. And as we age, I think it's something that can be easily overlooked.
It certainly can. Mitochondrial health is affected by hormones, by the change in hormones, and just by the natural aging process as well. And so certainly, there are as mitochondria injuries that come up for different reasons and just a decline. And so it all should be, I feel like, looked at very closely. Part of belly fat and what happens is also your gut microbiome changes. And so it's just, so many different things that it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, and not to put you on the spot, and the gut, everything is its own little universe, right? And they all work together. And I feel like you're so thorough, Angie, you're so thorough from the few minutes we've been together. And a lot of women go into doctors. I, have a pretty good, I have a few doctors, but I went into a very conventional lover, 5-minute annual wellness exam. You look like every other 58-year-old woman and blah, blah, blah. And if I didn't have enough knowledge to be dangerous, I might just leave and not consider how important gut, mitochondrial health, muscle protection, muscle brain connection, all these things. So when we come to you, Shelley, and you're giving us that hormone therapy that we're working, that it's going to work well enough for us because we're supporting and getting support for these other areas like muscle, mitochondria, all the gut, all that stuff. And I
Absolutely.
think women don't know that.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there, and not only for women, but for providers as well. There were two separate different research articles that came out just within, 6 months ago. One of them was published by the International Menopause Society that talked about the benefits that hormone therapy in the forms that we now prescribe. So micronized progesterone, transdermal estradiol, can be protective for cardiac health. The other article was printed in JAMA, which is a very big research base that a lot of primary care doctors, internal medicine doctors, they go to for research. That was a study that re-looked into the Women's Health Initiative. So it was the same information that they dove back into, and they're like, oh, yep, it increases cardiac disease. And it's like, you didn't do anything different. Like, we don't prescribe that anymore. That was still the same women, initially who you're looking at. Like, why did you waste time and research money going back in and redoing that and then printing an article in a very, significant JAMA publication, and it makes me so angry. And it's like, yeah, of course, your providers are all going to be confused because they're seeing all this misinformation. They're getting, oh, it helps, oh, it doesn't help, oh, it causes this risk, oh, it doesn't cause this risk. And if you don't look at the real world data coming in, the new research studies coming in, you're not going to know what hit you. And for all the women out there, if you are just depending on what your provider is telling you, you're not going to get the treatment that you need. It's so confusing.
It's so confusing. And the last thing I'll say, and thank you for both of you for this, is that lifting heavy things, eating fat and protein, and eating throughout the day, right? We can empower ourselves with some of the most basic things that we need to do to make what you do to support the hormones so effective. So we're not just dependent on, this nebulous thing, HRT, but we can take little steps every day to help the aging process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see patients all the time who are on hormone therapy and they're like, I'm still feeling miserable. And it's like, well, what's your diet like? Well, I haven't changed anything. Well, what's your alcohol intake like? Well, I'm drinking 14 drinks a week. It's like, you can't do the same things you used to do. Of course, you're going to feel miserable. And so, that it has to be just a coming together of lifestyle modifications, of hormone therapy, of, changing everything that's really going to be beneficial. I wish I could do what I did when I was 20. It would be amazing, but unfortunately it's not like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like you have to do the lifestyle things. You can do the hormone, but if you don't have these key things in place, you're not going to feel that much better. And that's why I always start. Let's start here. Let's start lifestyle. When that's good and we still need more, then let's go to the hormone treatment because it's another piece of that puzzle and it just all has to come together. And luckily we can do all these things and hopefully this is what I am trying to do is because I did not know any of this 10 years ago, the knowledge out there that, everything, the education for everyone so that we can feel empowered. We know what questions to ask. We know when it's okay to not feel good and to tell somebody like, no, this is not how I want to feel and I need something more. So I'm not going to settle for what you tell me I need to do. So
And you deserve something more.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Yes. Anyone else have any other questions? Anything they want to say? Anything at all? I did also make a little guide because I know I kind of went basics when I talked about everything. So I made a little guide that I'm going to share here. That just kind of goes through the things that I talked about, but also with some checklists. Like here's how much protein you should eat. This is what you should do for stress. Like some things that you can download. So make sure you click on that and download that. It's just print off to help you know like how you can start serving your body and treating it better. But if we don't have any more questions, then I appreciate you ladies taking the time to come and join us. I only know one face here, so it's kind of nice for me to see some new faces on here. Rebecca, hi.
Hey, thank you guys. That was really great. I don't have
Yeah.
any questions. I just appreciate um you getting some ladies together. I feel like I'm just entering perimenopause and I feel like it's a lot of information. I feel extremely alone because none of my friends that are my age are experiencing anything that I am. So it's just nice to be with other ladies that are going through it.
Yeah. Good. I love that. That's my hope is I want people to know there's a place to come. You can talk to people. Share it all. Yeah. Awesome. Well, if nobody has anything else, thank you so much again, ladies, and thank you, Shelley. I appreciate your time as well.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you all for joining. It was nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
Nice to
I
meet
will
you.
be sending this in the replay too if anybody watches it and with this information too. So if anybody has any questions, you can reply back to that email as well. And I will also send Shelley's information for anybody that is not aware of what she does and how she can help you, and you can reach out to her with any questions. So thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful rest of your night.
You too.